Okay, so I just wanted to start by welcoming each and every one of you to our home, and more importantly, to a gay day, Dia di Gay and Giorno di Gay. It's been a long time coming, and the day is finally here. As many of you know, I get really uncomfortable speaking in front of large groups, especially with people that I know so well. So I wrote out a speech. It's kind of a long speech, but I put a lot into it, and I didn't want to leave out certain points. So that's why I got it all down here, so bear with me, okay? So let me get into what this is all about. As you know, we're here to celebrate my graduation. But more than that, it's a celebration of my gay spirit. As you probably gathered, I'm gay!
Don't instigate. Hey.
Where's he leave? It's in my room. Alright, so, and I've spent the majority of my life being ashamed of it. Well, not anymore. The time has come for me to celebrate my gay identity, and I have invited each of you to celebrate this moment with me. So I'm graduating with my master's in clinical psychology in the LGBT specialization from Antioch University Los Angeles. For those of you who don't know, LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. But I'm not exactly done with school just yet. I still have one more class to get through, and that class is called LGBT Community Action. And guess what? We're all a part of it right now. This special talk that I'm giving right now is my project for my community action class. I want to frame what we are going to do today in the context of education. My project will hopefully make a link between our studies in the LGBT specialization and in the larger community to affect change. So I am honored to create this bridge for you. Keep in mind that as in any good class, there will be challenging feelings that come up, but all of it is done for the purpose of learning. On the first day of class, my instructor posed the following question to us. What does community mean to you? Immediately, I thought of my family of origin. And I also thought about how many of you within my family have very little knowledge about the gay community. And I thought about me and my role in this particular family, and how cool it would be for me to talk about my experiences growing up gay in order for you to understand me and the LGBT community better. I want to share with you a deeper part of me. I want to share my struggles growing up gay. I want to share my hurt, my anger, and my sadness. But I also want to share how the specialization has helped me not only tolerate my gay identity, but also love and celebrate it. For so long, I have been quiet. I've been the nice, shy boy who did everything he was supposed to do, instead of what he wanted or needed to do. And I've continued to play that role in other aspects of my life. I hated speaking up in classes at Antioch, and it's been a real challenge for me to speak in groups of my peers. So in order to combat this fear, I must do contrary action and speak to you all in this way. I want you to get to know the real me. Get to know the things that have affected me. Get to know how each of you have affected me. This is my chance to be seen and heard for who I really am. This is my chance to finally get real and let people into what's going on inside of my inner world. Okay, so as you can all see, my family is huge. And this isn't even all of them. I have my parents here. my brother, my grandparents, my nono and nana, my abuelita, countless aunts, uncles, and cousins here as well. And this next part is primarily directed towards all of you. Even though most of you have been in my life since the day I was born, there are only a few of you who actually know the real me or what I've struggled with in my childhood. Many of you remember me as a child, and if you don't remember, let me remind you of that little kid. He was an adorable, curly-haired kid who loved all things that were sweet and cuddly.
Very true.
Thank you, Angela. He was a happy little guy who liked to give lots of hugs and kisses. He was sweet, innocent, and very talkative. He loved seeing the snuggle bear. On commercials for snuggle laundry sheets. He also loved koala bears, and he definitely loved the cartoon The Care Bears. When he was 2 years old, his nana surprised him and made him a Halloween costume of a Care Bear with the big old heart in the middle of his chest. Here's a picture of that. My mom said that he was so excited when they put me in that costume. This was my day where I was connected to the things I loved, that got me inspired and that got me happy. Today I hope to reconnect to that feeling. But before we get to feelings of love, let me talk a little bit more. As his child got older, he soon realized that there was something different about him. And he learned that this difference was something very bad. He couldn't be his true self. He couldn't talk about certain things he wanted to talk about. Things like how much he loved Cinderella. No, because boys don't like Cinderella. He had to act a certain way. He couldn't play dress up, wear mommy's shoes, which she had a lot. She still does. Or play with Barbies, because boys don't do those things. Boys are supposed to be masculine, rough, play sports, and get dirty. All things that little Henry was not interested in. Sure, his mom bought him a Barbie, and last year, I was told that my father bought him a Barbie as well. But when he did play with those Barbies, he did so in secrecy. So what was this kid to do? He couldn't talk to anyone about any of this. He just kept it all inside. He grew sadder as time went on. He spent a lot of time on his own, and his mind became consumed with self-hating and nasty thoughts. He felt like he had no one to turn to, and felt like no one was on his side. He became resentful of his gay feelings and for his effeminate ways. His gay spirit was crushed, and soon thoughts of suicide invaded his mind. This was a lot for this little kid. He was on his own. He was on his own, and there was no one there to console him. What this child did not realize was how homophobic, heterosexist, and heteronormative his environment was. And I'm not just talking about the family, I'm talking about the society at large. Let me break down these terms. Homophobia is the fear and hatred of homosexuals, and this family has a fear of homosexuals. Heterosexism is the belief that being heterosexual or straight is the only way to be. And our family has heterosexist beliefs. Most families do. I would say all families do. Heteronormativity is the belief that being heterosexual is the only normal way to be. And if you're not straight, then you're not normal and something is inherently wrong with you. And this plays into the psyche of so many of my family members, as well as so many in society at large. And unfortunately, these isms still plague me as well. As this child grew, he internalized a lot of the homophobia and heterosexism, and heteronormativity that surrounded him. He started attacking himself, and people in his environment started attacking him physically, mentally, and emotionally for his difference. People at school were teasing him and telling him he was a little girl. He was pushed around and even spit on. When he would come home, all he wanted was to get solace from his family members. He wanted his family members to stand up for him and tell him he was okay the way he was. However, he never got it in that way. He was always surrounded by people, but he never felt connected to any of them. In fact, he heard some not so nice statements about him. While he would be walking around the house, he commonly heard people calling him "Ethan" and telling him that he was too skinny, code for gay. He was told that he laughed and smiled too much, and that this was a problem because real men don't laugh and real men don't smile. He was getting messages that who he was bad. Who he was needed to change. And so instead of being true to himself, he started believing others and started disconnecting from himself. He became hypervigilant and worried about his effeminate ways. He became sullen, withdrawn, scared, quiet, and weak. He didn't dare tell anyone that he was attracted to other boys his age. Oh no, boys don't like boys. What the hell is wrong with you for liking boys? Was the question that played in his mind over and over again. As he grew, he tried his hardest to fit this heteronormative family. All he wanted was to be straight and normal. But no matter how hard he tried, this would never happen. Because what this boy didn't realize was that he had a beautiful gay soul. Who he loved were men. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I came out 6 years ago when I was a student at UCSB. I met some of the most open-minded people, several of whom are here today. Especially Megan and Jen and Brianna. And these girls didn't care if I was gay, skinny, or laughed too much. In fact, you encouraged it. And you all inspired me to finally come out as a gay man and be my true self. I drove down to Temple City and Piper too. You're like, duh, you're like obviously one of my... I drove down to Temple City on July 16, 2005 from Santa Barbara. I stopped by Target on my way home and bought Lindsay Lohan's CD. I had heard her sing at Wango Tango a few months before. The lyrics that stuck in my head from her were "Speak, let it out, breathe." I played the song on repeat in my car. These words inspired me to speak and let it out so I could finally breathe. That night I went over to my cousin Angela's house. I told her about a boy I was seeing. I also told her that I had same-sex feelings throughout my life. I was crying with her.
You got it, honey. You can do it.
And you were telling me that you loved me no matter what, and that I needed to live my life for me and not for anyone else. Thank you so much for that night. You will never know how much that meant to me. That was the first time I was real with someone inside of this family. You made me feel safe, powerful, and alive. That next day, on July 17th, I woke up feeling strong, and Lindsay's song was playing on a loop in my head. And Angela's words were there too. I pulled my mom into the pool house, away from my father and brother, and came out to her first. My mom immediately grabbed my trembling hands and said, "I love you."